Hello and welcome to the Stephanie Herman Show. Today I would like to take you into my heart and share a personal story about my beautiful daughter Charlotte, who at the age of 7 was diagnosed with a learning disability of dyslexia. Now, learning disabilities, in simple terms, is just the difference in the way your brain is wired. Children who have learning disability are smart, if not smarter than their peers, but they just have a difficult time in learning in conventional ways. It's not uncommon for people to have learning disabilities. In fact, 20% of Americans have learning disabilities of some sort. Walt Disney, Albert Einstein, Whoopi Goldberg, Jay Leno, and Charles Schwab all had learning disabilities, but it did not stop them from being successful. Well, in 2nd grade, my daughter had a reading level of a kindergartner. Her peers were reading Harry Potter, but she was still reading simple books like Dora the Explorer. What took the other kids 15 minutes to do their homework, it was taking her 2 hours, and she still was not getting it. Here was a child that was vivacious and smart and bright. She didn't miss a beat. She was loved by everybody, but frustration was eroding her confidence. We didn't know what to do. My husband and I decided to have her tested to find out what was going on. And after 3 rigorous days of testing with a psychiatrist, we finally found out that she had a language-based dyslexia. We had an answer. We now figured out what to do. The psychiatrist recommended that we go to the Charles Armstrong School, which is a school that teaches kids with learning differences. They teach them in the way that they learn best. These kids learn either auditorily, visually, or kinesthetically, and they're taught to that way that they learn best. It was a hard transition when we decided that we would send her there, and my daughter had a hard time leaving her friends, and we had hopes and fears, didn't know what to expect. But after 3 years, she is now reading at grade level and beyond, and let me tell you, she certainly has her confidence back. To honor Charles Armstrong School, I have choreographed a dance based on the struggles that these kids go through. And this dance is to also honor all children that have learning differences and disabilities, and it's dedicated to Charlotte, my daughter. This dance symbolizes the restrictions by having a large stretch band on my shoulder to my foot to restrict me in my movement, but yet show you how these kids still, with their restrictions and struggles, are still able to gracefully move through life. And then I choreographed it 3 times, and with Bill Lindeman, the editor, we put the 3 of me together on one screen to show the 3 different ways that they learn. And then at the end of the dance, you'll see how all 3 of me become one person, which symbolizes how these kids become whole after they go to this school of Charles Armstrong. So come join me and watch this wonderful dance, and then afterwards we'll go deeper into interviews of the heroes of the Charles Armstrong School. Come join me now. I hope you enjoyed that dance and starting to understand the struggles and the restrictions that these children go through in learning. And come with me now as we go into the depths of the Charles Armstrong School and hearing from the parents and the children and the head of the school what they all go through and what the school is all about. And if you know anybody out there that might be struggling, this is a good piece of information to share. So come join me and let's go to the Charles Armstrong School.
I told my friends that I had at my old school, like, I'm going to Charles Armstrong because I have dyslexia, and they thought it was like some type of disease, and they just like ran away from me.
In my class, I was the only one who had dyslexia, and it kind of felt bad because I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. And then I came here, I feel perfect.
Here we are sitting with Dr. Wilbur Madison, who is the founder of the Charles Armstrong School, and we're going to find out more about you and how this all evolved. Your dream of why did you make this school for kids with dyslexia?
For some reason in the 1960s, this problem of dyslexia or learning differences just came upon us in unbelievable numbers of children who were being identified as being dyslexic, and none of us had ever really been challenged by this problem or had to deal with it. I, in particular, was called upon to deal with it when my son was found to be dyslexic. And the discouraging part of the whole thing was that it was so little was known about it that at the time we didn't have many options as to what to do. And even in public education, there were not too many people who were very much aware of the problem. We realized that it was going to take a long time for this to happen in a meaningful way in the public school system. And so we've evolved a program that has really 4 component parts. One is a suitable academic curriculum, and the second is teaching the children learning skills and strategies. So many of them have some degree of disorganization in their attitudes and habits, and they need to be taught how to work and how to focus and how to study. And then there's the whole element of resiliency. That's the 3rd component, of teaching them how to deal with disappointment, how to rebound from disappointment, how to develop a positive mindset so that they're thinking all the while that not only can they do it, but they're willing to do it. And they're willing to make a total commitment to what they're doing, because being committed is the basis of being resilient. And then the 4th component of the program has been the idea that, as I say, many of these children do have some unusual gift or talent, and it's important to identify that and also to help them find a talent, to find something they can do well.
Well, this is an amazing school. I'm very excited to feature Charles Armstrong School on the Stephanie Herman Show. This has been so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And this has been so great.
When I was about to come here, and I told my friends that I had at my old school, like, I'm going to Charles Armstrong because I hear it's a really good school, and they're like, why? And I was like, because I have dyslexia, and they thought it was like some type of disease, and they just like ran away from me. It was like, yeah, it's really mean.
Every single time they'd go do cursive, you know, I was told that I shouldn't do cursive and I should go type, so it took like 5 minutes to get the computer out, turn it on, do everything, and then, you know.
They would get mad at you for getting something wrong at the old school, and it was really hard to concentrate because there's like a lot of things going on at once.
Here we are sitting here with Charlene Mercadante, who is a parent of a 15-year-old child. What's your son's name?
His name is Mitchell.
Okay, and he's been here since what grade?
Since 3rd grade.
And if I could rewind a little bit here, when he was in another school, what were some of the signs that you found that said that he had dyslexia?
We actually knew with Mitch when he was little. He was about 3 years old when his preschool teacher said, you know, you need to have him assessed. There's something going on here. And so we knew when he was in public school for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, that he had learning differences. And I thought I could probably get the public school teachers to work with me, and that didn't work out so well. So we pulled him out after 2nd grade and brought him here.
Did you always know about Charles Armstrong, since you knew about your kid's dyslexia when he was 3?
I learned about Charles Armstrong probably when Mitchell was in kindergarten. And we just thought, okay, well, that's a resource that's over here. Let's see if we can make this work first.
It wasn't like your immediate reaction is, oh good, this is where I should take him. But what were some of the things that were stopping you from taking that step?
Well, it's hard. You're in a community, you're in your local school, your child has friends at their local school. Kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, that school becomes his place. And by the time we were pulling him out by 2nd grade, he kept saying to us, you know, why do I have to leave? Why do I have to leave? And it took about a year, even while he was at Charles Armstrong, for him to lose that conversation because he missed his friends.
And that was hard for you as a parent,
it was
too.
heart-wrenching, but we had no choice. I mean, public school was just not working. Right.
And when he was in public school, was he taken out of the classroom to have special education?
He was in their RSP program, which was more of a babysitting program. Essentially, Mitch was smart enough to realize that there was something different about him. So in his 2nd grade class, while all his class is reading out loud in front of the class, and he's realizing to himself that I have no idea how to do that. That conversation of, you know, I'm stupid or I must be stupid is a logical place to go, and that really surfaced in 2nd grade. And once that showed up, that's when we knew we had to do something different.
When he was here for 6 years, and the first year was difficult for him, tell me a little bit about the 2nd year, what was starting to happen.
It took about a year for that conversation to go away. By year 2, he loved this place. This was home. He had friends. There was never a conversation, why do I have to go back to that other school?
So he started understanding what he was learning here.
And they teach them, what's fabulous is this school teaches the student how their brain works, that they show them that you are not stupid, you just learn differently. And they really educate the child in the learning difference, which is a huge place of power for them, because now they understand why they do what they do or why it was so hard for them. And it might not be hard for their little brother or their older sibling.
What advice would you give to parents in general?
I would say that most kids want to learn how to read, especially if their peers are reading. So there's something else going on if they're struggling. You know, I look back and I go, there's no such thing as a bad student, really.
That's what I've always heard too.
If there's a child not doing well, there's a reason for that, and it's typically not because they want to do badly. I think everybody wants to do well at anything that they do. So any student who's getting a C or a D or an F, there could be a learning difference going on, and I think that's a red flag. And if they have a bad attitude about it, that could just be covering up the learning difference.
The red flag, right?
Yeah.
So Mitchell is going to a new school the first time in 6 years.
It'll be a challenging transition, I'm sure, because we're going back now into real life where most people understand learning differences, but there's still a lot of ignorance on the subject. So
he's going to advocate for himself.
He's going to have to, because especially in high school, I really need to learn how to back out of the picture now. It's really going to be on him. But I think the school and the teachers have promised me that he's ready, so I have to go with what they say. They see him in a different way than I do at home.
Yeah.
So
well,
they've
been teaching for a long time here, 40 years, so they understand when it's ready. They wouldn't say that.
Right.
Well, I wish you all the luck, and thank you so much for taking the time and
you're very welcome.
talking.
I love this place.
Yeah, we do too. Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I've been here for 2 years, and I've loved it here, and this is my last year. and this school's been helping me a lot with my reading because I am dyslexic.
Here, it's just everyone has something going on with them, and it's nice to have teachers and people around you who understand what you're going through.
When parents come to us, they come to us because the students have been just diagnosed with language processing difficulties, difficulty with reading, difficulty with listening, speaking, reasoning skills, and mathematical procedures and writing. So they come in, and what they're looking for is for someone for us to help them remediate the gaps that they have. When the kids come to Armstrong, they already come with a major deficit of 1 or 2 years behind. So our job is to definitely go deep into those holes and put a system in place to help them build a stronger foundation. And so we devote a lot of time in professional development for our teachers because we need to train them in the methodologies that are required in order to make sure that our students are achieving academic success. When we work with our students and teaching them how to read and write, repetition is very important because you're actually helping make those connections, those synapses occur. And so that's what happens when you have the brain of a dyslexic learner and the brain of a person who doesn't have a reading disorder. A lot of our kids have sensory motor integration difficulties, and so they need to be able to move their bodies in order to stay focused. And so we don't work against that, we work with it. And what we do is that we try to teach them how to do it the right way. We spend a lot of our time profiling the students and helping them understand how they learn best. Once we have profiled the student, then we start focusing on the areas where they need more remediation. We start focusing on how our students going to be able to access learning. So we look at ways that students can develop strategies so they can memorize, do note-taking, synthesize information, prepare for tests, which is something that they have a difficult time with. When you think about how organized it is really to help things flow, but also is to build predictability. We have to model that for our kids as well because they need that type of structure and predictability. So our job is to make sure that our professional development, it's sustainable. When you think about how our kids learn and you think about the brain, oftentimes parts of the brain haven't necessarily matured. And so it's kind of like you're peeling an onion. But while you're peeling this onion, some synapses are happening, while other parts of the brain are not necessarily matured enough, so they haven't joined the team. Maturity has to happen, as well as the right intervention for these kids.
I noticed that a lot of kids chew gum here, and it's allowed, and they jump, they bounce on the ball in the classroom. Why do they do that here?
Because some people have like kinesthetic learners, and it helps them think better. It's a hard time for them to learn when they're just sitting in the chair, and sometimes, like me, I lean back in my chair.
I find that a lot of our students are not just dyslexic, but there's this package that comes with them, and it includes an exquisite sensitivity, being very attuned, highly attuned emotionally to their environment, with their physical senses as well. And so I just find, especially as the year tends to go on, it's almost like the stimulation is too much. So a lot of times it's just bringing them very, very, slowly and methodically back down into their own bodies and just being more calm and present with themselves. But I think that it's not just an academic learning challenge. I think there's this entire package that comes with these children it's magnificent, but it is challenging at the same time for them to walk their path. We're helping them to learn here what are their strengths, what are your challenges, and how do you advocate or find ways around your challenges so that your strengths really do rise to the top.
Do you know how you learn best?
Visually and kinesthetic.
What do you think about smart boards?
It's fun. It helps me learn because I can see it visually, and it really helps us.
We use technology a whole lot. You will see very little pen and paper writing. For two reasons. One, because many of our students are dysgraphic and have a very hard time organizing their writing on the paper, which somehow trickles into their thinking, and they have a harder time organizing their thoughts when their handwriting is so disorganized on the paper. The other reason has to do with all the technology, all the assistive technology you can bring by using a laptop. Each classroom has a full set of laptops. Each student is assigned a laptop at the beginning of the year. They carry the same one until the end, so they will always be able to find their same documents, the same settings. Whatever is in electronic format can and is read out loud to the students. So you'll often come around our writing classrooms and you'll see students wearing headphones because they're listening to their own writing. So the computer will make no mistakes in reading exactly what it says on the paper. The student can hear it, the student can figure out, oh, something is wrong. That might help also with sentence structure.
Some kids transition after a couple of years. Is anybody going to be transitioning to school?
Me.
You.
I'm going to Odyssey, which is down in Crystal Springs Canyon.
We have the 4 squares. There's the academic piece. There's the learning skills and strategy piece, like note-taking, and then we have organization skills, and then we have the resiliency piece, like motivation, direction, feeling emotionally well. Right. And then we have gifts and talent. And so when we look at a child for transition purposes, we keep all 4 of those in our mind. A lot of our children may not be grade level academically, but the other quadrants are so strong that we say, you're ready to go.
Work on your gifts and talents, because when I wasn't feeling good about, my academics, I'm a computer guy, so I just turn on my computer and start working on something.
In 1968, when we first started the school, it was very difficult to see a child smile at the school. A couple of years ago, we had a benefit at the Exploratorium in San Francisco, and they had pictures of all the children in the front entrance, and there was a big smile on every child's face, and I couldn't help but remember back in the days when these children were so down and so discouraged and so defeated to what they are now, in terms of knowing that if they're willing to work and willing to take things as they are, there's a real opportunity to turn the negative into a positive.
They're extremely creative. They're what we consider outside of the box thinkers. So our job is to help them discover their talents and their potential, because they are extremely bright. And as long as we continue to help them develop their self-advocacy and their resiliency, they are going to be okay, because they are the bright future. They are our future.
Thank you for joining us with the Stephanie Herman Show, and I hope now you understand better about the restrictions and the struggles that kids with learning difficulties go through. If you would like to have a webcast of this show, please send us your email address and we will send you a webcast. Thank you again for joining us on the Stephanie Herman Show, and I do hope to see you soon. Take care for now. Bye.